Hey you, and welcome to my channel. My name is Tina and my aim is to improve your drawings just like others have done for me when I just started out. In today's video I'll be drawing the next part of my small series covering the human face. I'll start with the blocking in phase, but before I do that, let me point out some important features that you want to include in your line art to make it easier on yourself. You want to make sure to get the lines on the side as well as those outer curves of the nostrils. Same with the inner part of the nostrils and the tip of the nose. Another important thing for your line art are the lines that indicate the highlights on the bridge of the nose. These are the minimum requirements I would say to get down a good line art. Now let's start with the blocking in phase. This is not such a big drawing, so I'll do my underlayer in one go. I start at the top left, getting one of my darker values in. This is the part right underneath the eyebrow that will almost always catch some shade. So to get this, I layer two browns on each other. Then another darker earth tone, which I'll cover with an orange, and the section underneath should be slightly lighter, so the same process, but I'll swap the orange for a lighter orange. The part next to the bridge also has shade on it, so back to those two browns. You'll also see me making an edge there before putting in the shade underneath the nose. I'm going to soften this edge later on because in real life you don't have these hard edges like you have in cartoons, for example. But on the other hand, here I am going to use a soft edge to indicate the outer edge of the nose. Underneath the nostrils I'll be using the dark brown, and I use dark red to make it more warm tone. Below the nose I'm making sure to lay down two different shades to make sure you'll see where the philtrum is. I do this by making one half lighter than the other. This same very light color I can use for the lightest parts of the nose. And for the shaded areas I'm using a warm brown in combination with a lighter earth tone. When it comes to selecting the colors, I'm using a darker value that is either more warm or more cold depending on the area I'm working on. And then I'm going to go over it with a color to bring it closer to the value I'm looking for. For example, here at the sides of the nose I'm using a more reddish tone. For both of the sides on the outsides, I'm using a darker value. And then for this one area on the right where there is light shining on it, I'm using a lighter value. But as you can see, this has way too much saturation of red in it, so I'm going to mute this down by going over it with a light orange tone. When I blend this out later, this will give me a nice base color for my skin texture. And then the last part that I need to add is the very highlighted area on top of the bridge, and again here I'm going to apply a soft edge. For the rest, I'm just going to finish this stage by adding some more soft edges around the nostrils and the eyes, tidying up some other colors and adding in the right side. In the meantime, I'll just give you a little bit more information about color theory to help you out with your colors. You can basically make each pink skin tone by combining some form of yellow with some sort of red and adding in white. Depending on how warm or cold an area is, you can either mix in some green or blue, and this would take you a long way. I personally chose to work with colors that match my skin tone already. I find this to be easier and saves me a lot of time. Also, if you have the colors available, it wouldn't make sense not to use them, right? That's why I'm using a pink color from the red family and mixing it with an orange. This isn't from the yellow family, but there's yellow in it, so it works the same, I guess, resulting in a base skin tone. If you're just starting out or if you're struggling with skin tones, I would suggest to first start with a value or tonal scale that showcases all the different skin tones you would like to use in your portrait. If this is something you'd like me to do a video on, make sure to put it in the comments down below. When it comes to the blending, I'm using a small blending stump to give me more accuracy. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter. I made an ebook containing tips and tricks as well as actionable steps you can take to improve your drawings. And on top of all of this, you also get 4 reference pictures each month you can use for your own artworks. Now that I'm finished with the blending, it's time for another layer to refine some more. I thought it still looked too reddish, so I went over this with a layer of the orange. It doesn't really matter how you put this on, as this is kind of a glazing layer. On a side note, I'm only using the pencils from Caran D'Ache for this. These are incredibly soft pencils, so it's very important that I lay down my pastel very lightly. But whichever pencils you're using, it's advisable to use a light hand. You will want to build up your skin tone and you'll most likely want to adjust some values here and there, so make sure your paper can still take your pastel layers. After this, I was happy with the values in my drawing, so I'm going to add some more shadows and highlights. I start by adding in some dark red underneath the nose and the edges to give it some warm shade. I blend this with my finger and in the meantime push it into my paper some more. I do need to darken this up a bit more, so that's why I'm using the dark brown. For the nostrils itself, I'm actually putting on some black. I'm going to refine the highlights on the left side of the nose. It's important that you put this immediately next to your darker soft edges, as you can already see on my drawing. This adds to the illusion of 3D and gives it some more depth. Underneath the tip of the nose you need to add some more shade. Again, I'm using a dark brown for this. I'm also going to use this to darken up some of the areas on the left side and add in that wrinkle near the eye. Remember that I said this part was more in the shade, so I'm using even more browns to darken it up. You just need to follow the curve of the nose and everything on its left side will be darker. On the right side I'm going to do the same, just far less since it's a much lighter area there. I can use the lightest brown that I used on the other side as well. I actually went over my entire drawing with this brown since I like the color it gave me. I'll just leave out some of the more highlighted areas. At the top here I'm darkening it up some more. Also, I'm not including the eyes in this. I just quickly gave them some color because it looked weird with these blank holes staring at me. Kinda freaky. But I have to admit that with these half eyes in, I still got the feeling it was a little bit weird. Now I'm upping my contrast some more with the darkest brown I have in this set. Just look at your reference picture if you need some help with this. And to lighten it up, I'm using the light orange I used before. On the right side, my light area is too yellow, so I balanced it out with some dark red or burgundy. And I did the same below, only using a lighter color and just using a pink. And then I'm just going to add some further refinements. As I'm finishing this one up, remember this is a really smooth skin, so you don't need to worry about a lot of texture. All you really need to get right is where your shadows and your highlights should go, as these make up the soft edges on your face, and don't be afraid to up that contrast. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate your support, as this helps to grow my channel and reach other people just like yourself. Hope to see you again next Friday, and in the meantime, have a great week.